our peak without no regret. You got no love without no love. You got no regret without no regret. You got no...
Right, hello guys. We're back with another Premier League game week review. I'm with Thomas again. Was supposed to be doing it with United Agenda, however, he isn't well. I do apologise for any connection issues we're both possibly having. I can see there's connection issues on my end, so I assume there'll be connection issues on the stream. How are you, Thomas?
Yeah. I'm fine, mate. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good, honestly.
Yeah.
Except for United, of course. So we'll just get straight into it. I do want to inform you guys first. So when this stream ends, we'll say, let's just say, for example, this stream ends at 6 p.m. I'll be live at 7 p.m. regardless. I'm live at 7 p.m. with Kane and Gavin, as usual. So we'll get into the first result. Southampton 2, Norwich Nil. And I want to speak about, I think we already spoke about him last week, and he scored again. Che Adams, he was absolutely unbelievable. The other day, I know it was only against Norwich, but you can only beat what's in front of you. He seems to be hitting some form, and surely if Scotland do qualify for the World Cup, I'm not sure whether they have or haven't. Do you think he'll go to the World Cup with Scotland? He'll get picked in the squad?
Definitely. I don't know any other better Scottish strikers than him, to be honest. At the moment, no. He's a top 10 Premier League striker at the moment on form. And I think he definitely deserves it. He's scoring consistently every night. Well, I say consistently. He's scoring every now and again, every 3 games. You know, he'll definitely go to the World Cup. Definitely Scotland goes well.
Yeah, I agree with that. Oriol Romeu as well. And another player who I feel is very underrated. He's actually got a Champions League winners medal with Chelsea from 2012. It was, which is mad. He's been around for so long, and he's very underrated. I'm going to ask a very out-of-the-box question here. Would you take him at United if let's just say we were in for him?
Romeu, to be honest, I'd take any holding midfielder at Man United at the moment because we don't have one, or we don't have one that can play consistently. I think he's probably be our best one. That's how badly stocked we are there, quality-wise. I don't think he's that level, and I think you would agree with me as well. I definitely would take him, and right now because I don't know how old he is now. I think he's late 20s, early 30s now. I'm not sure, so I don't think he's a long-term option, if that makes sense. So.
No, not at all. I was just, it was literally it was sort of a hypothetical question. I just wanted to get your opinion on him. Yeah, he's 30 years old now, 24th September 1991.
Yeah.
And I've sort of changed my mind on him a lot. I thought he was quite overrated, or even possibly just not rated at all. But I've changed my mind on him over the past year, and I say he's one of the most underrated players in the league, in my opinion. He's been consistently good for Southampton. Right, we'll go on to Everton versus City, the most controversial. Before we do that, we'll get into the comments. Bilal says first, he's late. We both were late. Just for other reasons, like outside of this stream, we could not get live at 4 p.m. and then 5 p.m. It just couldn't happen. And massive thank you to Thomas for coming on. Massive thank you to you for coming on at such short notice as well, within a few hours notice.
No problem.
Like 2 hours. Big up, guys. Fraud of a streamer. At the moment, yes, the past 2 days, Shea went to the Euros. No surprise, he's decent. And he's got a great attitude as well. He did an interview with Peter Crouch. And he's got a great attitude. Toilet in the mud. There's nothing wrong with McTominay. Russia's set to be banned from the World Cup. I expected that. I'll just get your opinion very, very shortly on that. Obviously, we pray for Ukraine and even the civilians of Russia, and we just pray for everyone who's impacted negatively. What do you think? Do you think it's the right decision to impose this specific sanction on them?
Yeah, definitely. They deserve every sanction, like you said, put upon them. I won't go into politics here, but we all know what's going on in Ukraine and where Russia and what they're doing at the moment, and the Champions League move to Saint Denis in France. I think they're going to be kicked out of any sort of Olympian sports in the future, in the next few years. And there's something else big. I think a lot of their friendly games against like, Poland, and because Lewandowski was very open about that, saying that they refused to play, and it's rightfully so. I think when we've seen Roman Abramovich step down for now from the Chelsea ownership, I think it's definitely deserved, if you could say. If Russia do get banned from the World Cup, and it's just another open place for Ireland to get into.
Yeah, I guess, Livramento, right? We'll touch on Livramento as well. I've been discussing a lot about Livramento actually, and obviously, it's very well known. Lamptey and Livramento are two great right backs. I'm gonna get him in there, but do you think Livramento will be on the same level as the top right backs in the world, or even top full backs in the world soon, in a few years, maybe 3 or 4 years? Do you think that will happen?
I think we discussed Livramento last show I was on, which is very recent. He needs to go to a bigger club. I think we both agree that he's like Southampton. He can't be considered one of the best in his position if he's played like Southampton. But if he went back to Chelsea possibly, or he went abroad, let's say to Paris Saint-Germain or Bayern Munich, someone at that level, Borussia Dortmund. And I think he will be considered that in a few years because he's only 19, I believe. Has the potential to be one of the best in the world in his position, definitely, but just not at Southampton.
No, I agree with you completely. We'll go on to Everton City. Now, first of all, was it handball, in your opinion?
Yes, it was. Stonewall. I disagree with the amount of heat it's getting. I suppose it's bigger because it's Manchester City. They didn't play that well, and Everton, you could argue, deserved the draw of it. And it was a penalty, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it was as ridiculous as Micah Richards would brand it.
No,
I don't think it was that big, but it definitely was handball, and we definitely need consistency in the officiating in the Premier League.
Definitely, I agree with you. Something that bothers me quite a lot, I'm not going to pretend it doesn't bother me, is VAR. Now, they've got the rule clear and obvious, so if it's not clear and obvious error, we're not overturning the decision. But that error, in my opinion, obviously, as much as I didn't want City to win, but also don't want Liverpool to win the title, that error, in my opinion, was clear and obvious, yet they didn't overturn it. And with clear and obvious, with non-clear and obvious errors, they do seem to overturn it where it isn't that obvious and it isn't that clear, and it's like maybe not. So, do you think they just go off whatever they see rather than the actual rule? Is it a clear and obvious error? Because that's what I think.
VAR is a very strange way of its use is very strange by the people who use it. Obviously, it makes no sense because it's like I said, it's very inconsistent. And when you're saying there, is it based on what is seen like immediately? I don't know anymore because it's every game there seems to be a VAR. VAR needs to be called in. Sorry, and it's just very muddled. What is a penalty and what isn't in certain situations. So I give up on it nowadays because I remember West Ham against our Man United very early on in the season. We won because De Gea saved last minute penalty, if you remember. Yeah, and I think Ronaldo got fouled in the box about 3 or 4 times, and it was scandalous how we didn't get one. And Luke Shaw potentially handballed it at the very end of the game, and I thought that was very very harsh considering the previous events of the game. And of course, we're very lucky that they saved the penalty. But I mean, like I said, it's just so inconsistent, and I don't know what is and what isn't a penalty anymore. So, to be honest, I think you know as much as me when it comes to VAR and the official way of it being used. It's just, like I said, it's just so confusing.
Definitely. Now, Donny van de Beek did play well in this game. From what I seen, I didn't catch. I only caught the second half as I didn't get home in time. He did play well, and obviously, you know, I've been quite a big doubter of Donny van de Beek. But in terms of Everton in general, and Donny van de Beek going there. They do seem to be in a relegation fight. Do you think they're going to go down?
Yeah.
I think they'll go down.
Really?
I think they will. Yeah,
yeah.
I think they'll be dragged right into it with Leeds, and I think Burnley will stay up, and possibly Norwich will stay up. Maybe I'm going to be completely wrong. Newcastle are staying up, but we know that. But I just feel like they're going to be dragged into the relegation fight. I think you mentioned it the first time you was on with Donny van de Beek. If he'd have gone to Crystal Palace, he would have fit right in. He would have fit perfectly in there. He maybe has fit in Everton, but that team and looking at that lineup, I was discussing it with the lads at Paddock the other day when I was at Stretch Paddock, and just before I was leaving, they were showing the Everton City lineup and Everton's lineup, and I said, it just looks like a championship team. Like the actual lineup, it doesn't look good at all. So I think the way they've been run is terrible because they have spent money, but they're spending it wrong. Similar to what some fans, not most of our fans wouldn't say it, but some rival fans would say about United. Now, do you think Donny van de Beek, this will knock his confidence and he can't come back and sort of do well? Or do you think he can sort of push on from this loan spell and come back and do well, come back to United and do well?
I think for Donny van de Beek, this loan spell is crucial to his Manchester United career. I don't think we'll loan him back out because he's the same age as Scott McTominay. Actually, I think he's 6 months younger than him. And we've seen McTominay become an integral part of our team now. When he's injured or he's missing, he seems to struggle, which is funny because I'm one of his biggest doubters and I've critiqued him so many times. I think with Van de Beek, it's so tough because he plays for a team that are definitely in a relegation battle. I don't think they get relegated Everton because they're just, as a club, they won't. I don't think it'll be allowed for them to relegate almost. But no, of course they can obviously get relegated.
Yeah.
But no, I think they're too good simply because they have like Richarlison, Calvert-Lewin, Michael Keane. Pickford is dodgy as a keeper, but he's still good. Mikalenko, they signed in January. They have a very good team. I just don't think they get relegated because they have more quality than the competition for staying up in the Premier League. The thing is, it's Van de Beek though. Going back to him, he needs to settle into that team quickly because I see him long term. He needs to play in a pivot rather than a number 10 where he was playing at City. I know a lot of people in our fan base have said that he can only play number 10. He's only number 10. But I think he can play there, but I think he's mainly a box-to-box player. He can play holding as well. But I think when it comes to the Premier League, because he hasn't actually fit into the league yet because we haven't consistently played him, it's very tough to see where he will be playing in the Premier League. But of course, I want him to play in the box-to-box with Dele Alli in front of him. So he plays more in the position I want him. And when he comes back to United in the summer, we don't need to buy a replacement for Pogba if he goes, or so he'll actually play games. And I don't want him as a number 10 because Bruno is one of the best in the world, and at the moment he's not playing well, but he still is that. And Donny will never dislodge him. We've seen with Jesse Lingard, he's on the bench now, and I seen you saying earlier on that he's going to leave, and I think he will leave because simply he's not good enough, and he'll never get into that team where Bruno is. So hopefully, long term, I want Donny to play in the midfield rather than as a number 10 because he has more of a chance of playing for us in the future.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree with you. I've watched the same clip again and again and again over the past 24 hours with Donny van de Beek, and I seem to be changing my mind slightly. I don't know if you remember the Newcastle goal. Donny van de Beek was a huge part during lockdown. Donny van de Beek was a huge part of that. And he knocked the ball onto Mata. Mata took a touch, knocked it onto Rashford. Rashford ran with it. Rashford held it for a second, give it to Bruno, and Bruno put it in. Which it was a great goal, and it was a great game in general, despite having to pay £15 to watch the actual game because it was on Sky Sports box office. It was a great game. Now he definitely seems to be a box to box, but my worry is because obviously we've seen so many managers, and let's forget our personal opinion just for a few minutes on both players, Scott McTominay and Donny van de Beek. We've seen so many managers and a few players talk about Scott McTominay and ex-players.
Yeah.
About how integral he is, and you said he's very integral to our team, despite you being a big doubter of him. I can't see a Man United team going forward within the next few years with Scott McTominay not in that team. Whether let's say, for example, to put it out there, we buy Declan Rice, for example. What I can see it being is Declan Rice, Scott McTominay, and Bruno Fernandes if Paul Pogba goes, which I think he probably will. Now, do you think that's the case, or do you think it should be massive rotation?
Yeah, I'm a firm believer of rotation and competition because the best teams ever and the best teams at the moment have competition in every position on the pitch. Because the amount of games that the top clubs like Manchester City and Liverpool, Chelsea, Bayern Munich and the likes, because they're in such high prestigious competitions, they simply require the squad depth and the quality to play 60, 70 games a season. And in the long term, of course, I want us to be competing for Premier Leagues, Champions Leagues, FA Cups, even Carabao Cups. I just want us to win trophies. That's what we're all about, and that's what everyone wants with their own club. I think we need to keep the likes of Scott McTominay and Van de Beek and Bruno, of course, and hopefully Pogba. We need to keep these players for competition, and like you're saying about rotating the players, we need them to stay and be competitive with each other, because I've seen too much favoritism under Ollie in the past 3 years. Van Gaal had his favourites, Mourinho had his favourites with Fellaini. We need no one could no one has ideally with this club. I want every player, when they put on the famous red shirt, I want them to know that you will never have that shirt before you play the next game. I want them always looking back behind them thinking, oh, I could get this place if I have a bad game here. That's what was great about Luke Shaw. This sums Luke Shaw perfectly, I think, for his career. I'm a big fan of Luke Shaw. I love him. He's a great fullback. Not playing well at the moment, but he is a good fullback. And we've seen Van Gaal, when he bought him in 2014, he consistently played him, and he had a great partnership with Memphis Depay on the left wing. And Januzaj before he started going down. Yeah. And then he obviously he got a double break in his leg against PSV. Yeah. And that kind of sent his career spiraling down. And then Mourinho came in and accused him of being overweight and fat and stuff like this. And some of our fans caught to that. And now we've seen under Ollie, he brought Brandon Williams through a left back, and it gave Luke Shaw a bit of competition. And Shaw seemed to relish that. And we've seen with Alex Telles being brought to the club, he didn't play at all last season because Luke Shaw was simply too good to be dropped. And we need that in every position. Of course, I have favourites like Martial, who just seem to not cope with competition. And I think in the long term, I'd rather we didn't have players like that. We have players that want to play well every single game to guarantee their spot for the next game. And I think with players, going back to your point on Scott McTominay being potentially in this team for 3 or 4 years, if he keeps consistently playing well, which he isn't really at the moment, but he is, I need consistency from him. That's what I need.
Of course.
If he keeps consistently playing well, then why would he need to be dropped? Because he's playing well and he's contributing and he's giving his all for his team. The same with Van de Beek. That's what I want when he comes back, and Pogba seems to be consistent now. That's the ideal goal. Like I said, is players to be rotated, but you always have your starters who are consistently looking over their shoulder because of competition. Like
Sir Alex, like with Wes Brown, for example, didn't start every single game. But let's give an example of Rio Ferdinand at the time of in the early 2000s and even late 2000s. He started most games. Johnny Evans didn't start every game, but for some years he was still okay for us, or quite an integral part of the squad, just as a squad player in general.
Yeah.
we'll just get into the comments here. We're not speaking about this game specifically, but do you think he was offside? I think he was. Lukaku.
It's a tough one. I understand people's opinions. The ones I'll be looking at more is the Keita red card potential. That was red card.
Blatant
The
red
offside
card.
was tough. It was blatant. Yeah, I don't know how that thing got given, but I think I'll be looking at that more as the potential wrong call. But the offside is a tough one. And he is right. He said maybe it is the new rule. I'm not sure because I don't keep up to date with the new rules and stuff like that because it just seems to change every season. But he is. I think he's just offside, but it's obviously a tough one.
Yeah, I think he was just offside. Kane says officiating was poor in the United game too. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think some decisions were correct. Again, some decisions were correct, some were incorrect, and again, you could probably say that's poor if that's what you're classing as poor. Donny is very well defensively. Even Lampard said so.
He is.
His physicality struggles is a myth. He could stand on his own against Man City. I wouldn't say quite that, but I get what you're saying. Donny deserves to stay out of it until next January, in my opinion. He just won't play here. That's my current opinion with Donny, but again, my opinion seems to be changing a lot. They only praise his physicality traits. It's never him on the ball. It's never his on the ball attribute. We need to start focusing on physicality too much and actually focus on what these players offer us offer us on the ball. Got Pogba, Mata, Bruno, Fred, McTominay all playing in the position he plays in. We'll probably say Mata leaves after this summer. Like as a player anyway, I reckon he'll stay and do his coaching badges. There's nothing wrong with Ollie. There's nothing wrong with being a squad player under Ollie. No one's got chances but his favourites. No one got a chance to put his favourite. I disagree with that, but we won't get into a big discussion about Solskjaer. I think Solskjaer gave a lot of people. No, Solskjaer gave a lot of people debuts. He gave Brandon Williams his debut. He gave the other lad his debut. I'm not going to name him. He gave quite a few people debuts. He gave Anthony Elanga his debut. He gave Hannibal his debut against Wolves. He gave Ahmad his debut. I don't think he had his. I would say he had his favourites because everyone just has the favourites. We have our own favourite football players. Like Cristiano Ronaldo, one of my favourite ever football players. Tariq Lamptey, currently one of my favourite footballers. We all have our favourites, but I wouldn't say he didn't give anyone chances. Can't think of one correct decision in the United game. Didn't check VAR when they needed to, and the ref was useless. Debuts doesn't mean they got to play regularly. True. We'll go to the Brighton Aston Villa game. Now Aston Villa 2, Brighton 0, and Ellie Watkins. I want to get a discussion going about Ellie Watkins because this is his first goal in 2.5 months. However, I think this is a dip in form. Listening to one of my best mates is an Aston Villa fan, and he said it's just a dip in form too. But listening to a few other Aston Villa fans said maybe he's not good enough. What's your opinion on Ellie Watkins? Because I do think he's good enough for them.
Yeah, Ellie Watkins is an interesting player because I do admire foot forwards have on their versatility. He can play in the wing, he can play up front because he has the pace too. I think I have great admiration for him because he had a very good season last season on his own up front. Well, not on his own, but he was the main striker. And they brought Danny Ings in during the summer, and he seems to bench Danny Ings. Like, Danny Ings isn't scoring the goals, and Ollie Watkins, I know you said he hasn't scored in 2 months, but he is scoring goals. Like, he's scoring more goals than Danny Ings has this season by far. And I do really like Watkins, and he should be pushing for the England squad. I don't know who is better than him as a forward, like how many players are that should be in contention, but like I said, he should be in contention for the England squad. And I don't know if he went to the Euros. I don't think he did, but he definitely deserves to be at least on the reserves list for the World Cup squad.
I agree with that. I do agree with that. There's not much else to say about it, but I can see what they're saying in the chat. Debuts don't mean what I liked about Ollie is his stuff for what United means, apart from the success part. I do agree with that. We won't get into a massive debate about Solskjaer because it's only going to end one way, with me either getting mad or just defending Solskjaer all the way. So we won't get into that. Lamptey in the mud again. Unfortunately, yes. I like Watkins. He just isn't clinical enough to be relied on, in my opinion. Possibly, but last season he got 15 goals, and most of them games, obviously, Grealish was one of their main creators, and most of them games Grealish didn't play. He missed like 16 games on the row, which was mad. Lamptey hasn't won his league game since 2nd of January. That's no good. Man United 0, Watford 0. Now, is it the same old story, just not clinical enough, or do you think we didn't play well? Because I think we played an actual 6-0, maybe 5-0 game. We just didn't take our chances.
Yeah, it's a funny one because it's the first game I've seen in a long time with United where our defenders were fantastic, our forwards were the ones that lost us the game, and I haven't seen many games like that because obviously I know you're a big fan of Harry Maguire, and I don't know if he got dropped or he had an injury, but he was on the bench anyway and he didn't play. And we got to see Lindelof and Varane together, who are our preferred duos. I don't know if you're still the same.
Currently, yes, definitely.
Currently, yeah. I think they both work the best together. Sorry, and I think they're our two best centre backs as well, along with Eric Boy. They played so well on Saturday, sorry, and they were brilliant together. We defended so well, and I know it was against Watford, and people will be bantering us, but we defended really well, and Nemanja Matic had a great game, even though he played the whole game. Obviously got taken off very late on, but we basically played the whole game. We defended really well, and like you said, it should have been like 5 or 6-0, but Ronaldo and Bruno just had a very off day. They missed a lot of chances, and it came back to bite us when it ended 0-0. And there were some points towards that game at the end where I was thinking, Watford a pace up front, they're going to nick a goal, aren't they? On the counter.
Them thoughts did go through my mind, but I'm going to throw something out here, which we threw out on the stream when we were watching the United game on Saturday. This Watford team, they almost said to United, you go and score. And United said, no, we don't want to score. We don't want to score. Like, that's not what we want to do. Is this Watford team... I'm not talking about the Watford team that beat us 4-1. I'm talking about the current Watford team that we just played. Based on... They've not won in 14, so based on these past 14 games, is this one of the worst Premier League teams ever? Because they didn't do anything against us. They didn't even try. They had a few good pieces of play, but they didn't even try to get the ball off us for the first 70 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
We were literally just passing it around them. And we could have took the chances. We just didn't take the chances. So is this one of the worst Premier League teams ever?
No, I don't think they are, because their quality, okay. I do actually rate Watford, even though they're going down, and I think they will. I think it's inevitable. But I like their players more so. I think Ismaila Sarr is a brilliant winger. I actually really do. I think he's a good winger. Emmanuel Dennis is doing really well this season. Obviously, I talked about the Ligue 1 lads they brought in the last show, who are Ligue 1 standard, so they must be okay for the Premier League, They made some good signings. They brought Kuka in from Parma in January or the summer. I'm not sure. He's a decent player. I think he played about 10 minutes, but he's still decent. Lauza as well, I think, or he's played for Norwich. I think Lauza plays for Watford.
He plays for Watford. Yeah, he plays for Watford.
Yeah, he does. And they signed, what's his name? Sorry. Nkulu from Torino as well.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if he's a free agent, but he's a all right centre back. And they still have like Ben Foster. We all love Ben Foster. But they actually have a very decent side. I think they should be staying up, to be honest. But of course, if Newcastle didn't get bought out just before January transfer window, I'd be backing Watford to potentially stay up. But I think it's just done and dusted now, and I think that resembles the appointment of Roy Hodgson. I think it's done here, and they're already planning for the Championship next season.
Roy Hodgson sort of broke himself this game. I'm not sure if you actually caught it because it's on 3. It was obviously on at 3 p.m. I'm not sure if it's televised in Ireland. It's not televised.
It was in Premier Sports, I think it was. Yeah.
Okay, it was. So Roy Hodgson obviously normally plays as what's commonly known by Mike Bassett from the film and Sir Alex Ferguson 4-4-2. That's what Roy Hodgson plays. That is Roy Hodgson, and he went with a 4-3-3. Like, what is this guy doing? He sort of broke himself this game. The only thoughts I have to say on Roy Hodgson is, I don't know why he doesn't just retire and go and live somewhere abroad. Like, he's quite an old man. He's 74 years old. Like, I don't know why he doesn't just retire instead of like slumming it out, trying to beat Norwich again, like, with Watford. You know what I mean? But yeah, we should have took our chances. I think if we played the exact same way we did on Saturday against City, I think we can cause them problems if we take our chances. Do you agree with that?
We've spoken about City before a few times, and I do tend to watch them because, like I was saying, my cousin is a City fan, so I do tend to keep an eye on them, even though they're one of our biggest rivals, and I don't have a particular liking towards them, but I do tend to watch them because, even though I'm one of their biggest critiques of their style of play, I don't like City's style of play. I think it's very boring, but with Man City, they are simply they'll keep grinding until they get that goal, and they always do it, and they blow the Norwiches of the world, the Watfords of the world, 4-5-6-0, and they're brilliant at it, and everyone knows how they play, and they're just simply too good. You can't stop them. With United's game, I think the thing is with City, because it's a derby, it's a great leveler. It's like a cliche. And we tend to get a result against City, even though we got battered 2-0 and it should have been like 7-0 under Ollie.
That's my phone just smashing again.
All right.
I'm trying to put it on charge because it's running out and I need it for the 7 p.m. show. These are the pains of working in your bedroom, doing it in your bedroom. Right, sorry to interrupt there. Go on.
No bother. With Man City though, realistically, I think they're just too good. And I know, like in the Everton game, they had an off game and they didn't play well against them. I'm forgetting who they played against. They bottled the game against someone recently.
City.
And Spurs. Yes, it was Spurs. Sorry, I completely forgot. They didn't. They lost to Spurs and they just about better than VAR side. I think they will beat us, and the thing is, United, because it's like I said, because it's a derby game, we could easily pull up a 1-0 win because we're so inconsistent as well. But I think it's fair to say City will win comfortably in that game. Anyway.
Chinook says, "Hear me out. Villa's improved since Grealish left." Do you agree with that?
It's an interesting point because I was debating this with my mate a few months ago. Because Grealish, I don't particularly have a liking towards Grealish and Rice because of what they did to us joining England. So I do have that kind of bias towards him. And when he joined Man City, I just pumped that up completely. I do like Grealish. He is a good player, but I don't. It's a hard one because I think that Aston Villa team needed to sell him, and they've done great business getting £100 million for him. He's a funny player, Grealish, because he practically carried Aston Villa get relegated from the Premier League back to the Premier League, and he done very well for Aston Villa. And they were Grealish FC, and they relied so heavily on him. But I think selling him and making the money from him, and I know they got good owners as well, they've almost improved. Like he says, I think they're probably better off without him, and but I think they'll gladly take him back, don't get me wrong. But they seem to have improved because they invested in likes of Buendia. I think they bought Ellie Watkins as well. Obviously, of course, Danny Ings, and they have a lot of good winger options now. And they've improved their whole team with Luca Digne and Coutinho coming in as well. Coutinho almost seems like the replacement for Jack Grealish, even though I thought it was going to be Buendia. But they do seem to have improved without him, whilst making £100 million in the process. So I think they have improved.
I think obviously Gerrard's only just coming. Like when did he actually sign for them? Was it January? As a manager. So he's literally been there. He's been there a month or two. It's going to take him quite a few months and possibly a year to just settle in and obviously he's quite a young manager, so sort of get used to how he wants to play and things like that. There is some breaking news because I've got Sky Sports News on here. It's now official. FIFA and UEFA, Russia are banned from world football. FIFA and UEFA suspend Russian clubs from all competitions. So obviously we discussed that at the start of the stream. If you want to go back and hear the opinion on that, just briefly, just go back and listen to it, guys. Obviously, we won't talk about it much more, but just because it's breaking news, I thought I'd say it. And Wan-Bissaka is decent too, my right back. He was good, wasn't he, Wan-Bissaka?
He was. The only thing is with Wan-Bissaka, I still think, I don't know why the low's been dropped, by the way. We were discussing that on the
stream. He's been almost frozen out. He's very good. Yeah, and then Lindelof was at right back, and then he weren't in midweek, and then it was like he's not in on the weekend. It's like 3 games he's been frozen out for. It's a bit weird.
Yeah. And it's mad because no journalists have asked if he's been injured, or Ralph hasn't said he's been injured. So it's very strange. Like you said, he must have frozen him out or something. But Wan-Bissaka is a good fullback, don't get me wrong. I prefer the low because it's attacking output is better,
if only Matic was like 5 years younger or something like that.
28 or something, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be perfect. Played amazing football the entire game. We were all over them. Just lots of misses costed us 3 shots on target out of 22 is poor. Kane is speaking from he watched the game from a Man United. He watched the game from the Manchester United International Lounge this weekend. Kane did from the Manchester United box. So I hope you enjoyed that, Kane. Might need to bench Ronnie and play false 9. Possibly. Why not? Play Bruno false 9. I still think McNeil needs to be given a chance, man. I'm going to keep calling for it until it happens. Ronaldo was very unlucky with a few chances. Yeah, he was. Their attack is decent. I think their attack is decent. I'm not sure about the loser or louser, though. He's not convinced me yet. I've not seen enough of him. Ben Foster is a time-wasting cunt who's an average footballer who needs to go back to riding his fucking bike back to give you the time. Wow. No, I do love Ben Foster. 3 minutes ended, that was fucking ridiculous. It was 3 minutes alone from subs Foster wasted about 5 minutes at least. Gavin says, good afternoon, lads. Hope the stream's been good so far. Seeing as you both in here now, Gavin and Kine, so I don't need to say it in the group chat after this stream. I will send the link to the StreamYard call at 6:50 or 6:55. I'll send it. Depends on what I'm doing or whatever. 6:50 or 6:55. I'll just let you both know there. The £100 million was invested into more than Jack. It was, and considering he missed about 16 games, yeah. KG says I'm back. What happened? Not much. We've just been discussing quite a lot of things. FIFA and UEFA suspended Russia, and Russian clubs got to feel bad for the low. Yeah, definitely. I don't know why Telles was taken off. I'm not sure. Maybe he was being rested for the City game. I'm not sure. Top 4 is a low-key concern. Do you think we'll get top 4?
We were so confident the other week about top 4, and we were like, we're going to get it. We're going to get it. It's after that Watford result and Arsenal's last-minute goal. I don't know how, lack of threat, scored that last-minute goal, but he did anyway.
Yeah.
I am seriously worried about top 4 now, and I was so confident, like I said. But I think Arsenal... Yeah. No, it's when Spurs, I don't think they're in the race. I think it's just us and Arsenal still, but it's a tough one. It's a 50-50, I think. We would be so lucky to get top 4 at this rate because...
Arsenal's games in hand are tough, though.
Yeah, that's true, but they do have 3 of them, isn't it? It's 2 or 3. Which is
you've got Chelsea, Liverpool, and Spurs as their games in hand, and they've still got us to play. Yeah. So it's going to be difficult for them. I think. Sorry, go.
Yeah. I think realistically, if we want to get top 4, we need to either be Man City this weekend, Liverpool, or Arsenal at the Emirates. We need to win. We need to win one of them and draw one. I think that's what we can't just draw one and lost 2. I think we need to beat one of them to get any chance of top 4, because Spurs are, I know I'm writing them off, but Spurs are still technically in the race, and Wolves and West Ham are making pressure as well.
True.
We need to win one of them games at least, to be honest, I think.
Definitely agree with that. If that link is true, Pineapple, I will pin it in the next stream. There's not enough time right now. Gina, you're going to talk about the Poch news on Digest. I will talk about the Poch news on Devil's Digest, yeah. The manager news is in there. Tell us was solid. Arsenal better than we think. They might be, but I think they're just as bad as us. Ian says, hi guys, it's the Mad Darlington fan. Back hope Hope you are well, you two guys. Have some great knowledge for your young ages. Well done. Thank you, mate. Hope you're well.
Thank you.
And yeah, I will not put the screen the comment on screen from I'm Chinook, the last comment, but I do agree with you. I'm Chinook. They can draw all three and still be above us. I think they'll lose all three, to be honest. We'll go to Crystal Palace, Burnley. Now, there's only one thing to discuss here, in my opinion. Burnley, do you think they're going to stay up 1-1?
Yeah, I know they beat Brighton 3-0 as well.
Yeah, 3-0, yeah.
Vic Weghorst is having an unbelievable season, isn't he? And he just joined in January. He's doing so well there. He seems to be just scoring every other game. And I don't think he scored against Crystal Palace, but he is playing well. And I think they need Cornet and Weghorst to stay fit, and probably Josh Brownhill, someone like that, to stay up. I think they're their only hopes. And Sean Dyche seems to be a master at this, just grinding out results because of his old 1960s football, and it pisses me off. I want Burnley to get relegated because I just do not like their style of football. But I think they will stay up. Funny enough, but that forced me in a way of thinking where I don't know who's getting relegated now, because not everyone can stay up. Obviously, three have to go down, so it's still a tough one. But Leeds. Oh, that's a tough one, especially with Bielsa being sacked yesterday, and Jesse Marsh is probably the new manager.
And Leeds as well.
Oh, really? I would be leaving for Leeds then, but Burnley. I think they'll stay up.
Yeah. Okay. Newcastle 2, Brentford 0. Now we've said we think they're going to stay up, but Joelinton, what I'm going to say is one of the maddest transfers in football history, or maddest situations in football history. They bought him for £40 million as a striker, thinking he's going to be a good striker, and they turned him into a great box-to-box midfielder. How? How? But yeah, Joelinton getting on the score sheet as well as Willock. Again, two signings. Well, Joelinton was signed a few years ago. Willock was signed this just summer just gone. Do you think they're definitely staying up?
Newcastle, yeah, definitely. The funny thing with Joelinton is, they bought Joelinton under weird circumstances. As in, they bought him as a number 9 because they gave him the number 9, and he wanted to replicate Alan Shearer. I remember it all, and I said that's a good signing because, see, I think people think Joelinton is a striker, and he never was. He was more of an attacking midfielder, a centre forward. Because if you look at his stats for Hoffenheim, the year they bought him, he scored 14 and assisted 13, I think, which is not a striker particularly. No. It's more of a reserve role, a centre forward, number 10, like I said. So it makes a lot of sense that he's now a box-to-box midfielder, but I never thought he was a striker, and that's why I don't think he scored many goals, because he's, like I said, he's not a striker. But with Joe Willock, brilliant signing. He played so well on loan from Arsenal. I think they got him for £20 million. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure the exact price, but he got 7 and 7 on loan, 7 goals in 7 games.
Yeah,
he got
Premier League Player of the Month.
Yeah,
of course. But he's a brilliant signing, and he hasn't lived up to the numbers this season, but he is still a good number 10. But I think Newcastle stay up. They have too much quality as well.
I agree with that. Brentford, do you think they could get dragged into the relegation battle? They are 15th on 24 points. They are only 3 points above the drop zone, and Burnley have 3 games in hand over them.
Brentford are, I like Brentford. I like their style of football. Their manager, I did like him until he was saying some bad stuff about United when we fairly.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, he was very bitter.
He was very angry. Yeah, he's crying a lot on that press conference or interview. Brentford, and I know that Ericsson made his first game back, played his first game back since what happened in the Euros, and I'm very happy to see him on the pitch because I really like Ericsson as a player. I think Brentford will be dragged down, and I kind of predicted it as well at the start of the season because I watched a bit of Brentford. I think they're going to have a decent few months because they're unknown quantity, similar to Sheffield United when they finished 8th in that COVID season, just before, sorry. I think they're going to be very similar. I thought that they're going to get dragged down towards the latter stage of the season, and it's come to pass. I don't think they get relegated, but they're definitely treading thin ice,
Yeah, I completely agree with you. We'll just get into the comments here. Elise is a great player. Kane nabbed the tweet. There's nothing new there. There's absolutely nothing new there. Huge fan of Dwight McNeil. I think Norwich are done. Do you watch UFC? Someone at CS7 fan asked.
Me?
Yeah.
I used to watch it a lot, but because Conor McGregor, of course, he's a Dublin man, so am I. So that kind of got me into watching it, but he seems to peter off, and I don't particularly watch it anymore, or boxing, but I do. If it's on, I'll watch it, So I wouldn't.
Yeah.
My main sports probably like football, soccer, and darts. Probably they're my two.
All right. They need Tony to stay fit. They do need Tony to stay fit. Munsey talks to us. Big up, lads. Big up, Munsey. It's nice to see you in the chat. I've not seen you in the chat for a while, so it's nice to see you. Thank you for tuning in. Leeds 0, Tottenham 4. Wow. I know we're challenging Tottenham for top 4, but it's lovely to see Leeds doing terribly. It is. I almost want them to get relegated, but don't because we batter them every single year. It's almost a free 6 points every single year. We've scored 15 goals in 4 games against them, which is absolutely mad. So with Leeds, do you think it was Bielsa's fault? Do you think it was the players? I think it's just a championship team, and Bielsa's carried the can in the end.
Yeah, I agree with that. Completely. He brought a championship team, ran them into the ground, and got them into mid-table in the Premier League, and they've quite clearly just ran out of steam. He ran them into the ground, and it's very obvious to see that because their only quality players are Rafinha, Calvin Phillips, and Meslier, who's still a dodgy keeper as well, and Bamford. I don't think he's that great either. And they missed Calvin Phillips and Bamford a lot this season. I always thought it was inevitable that he was going to leave because Bielsa does 2 years at every club and then he either sacks or he leaves. And he's done that at every club he's been at. And it was quite obvious after getting trounced by us 4-2, getting trounced by Spurs, and they're going to get, I thought they were going to get hit again some stage at the end of the season. And they're heading towards a relegation battle. It made a lot of sense sacking Bielsa. But and where the blame lies, it's more, like you said, it's a culmination of things. It's more the players are at fault because they're not good enough. And obviously that's not really their fault. But they've been running into the ground by Bielsa because of his style of football. And again, Bielsa's style of football revolves around... well, to be honest, I've always said about Leeds, if you're a neutral fan, you go watch Leeds because... 4 goals will be scored, but I don't know who will score them because Leeds are so open and they play man to man. That's how we always play well. McTominay always has a great game. Fred always has a great game. So, but with Leeds, bringing Jesse Marsh in, it's a funny one because Marsh, I don't think he's actually a manager. He's more of a coach, assistant manager. So it'll be interesting to see how he does at Leeds, but I think Leeds will finish like 17th, like you said. And I do want them to finish there because they're a staple of the Premier League and they're a rival of ours. But I don't want them to get relegated.
Okay, it will be it's like a cat playing with a mouth. Like I'm gonna hurt you, but I'm just not gonna quite kill you. Just like in the sense of we're gonna tease them with relegation, but we're not gonna quite relegate them just so we can get them 3-6 points every year. Harry Kane. Now, I don't know. My opinion with Harry Kane has quite almost always been I love him because he's our country's captain. I do know. I actually found out 2 days ago. I'm not sure whether you knew this. I assume you did. He played for Ireland once as well, so there's another one.
Yep. He's Irish through to Mayo, yeah.
Yeah. So, honestly, do you think he'll continue this form up until, I know it's quite a while away, but I'm sure you've seen me tweeting about the World Cup. Do you think he'll carry this form until the World Cup and then lead England to possibly do well in the World Cup?
It's tough on Harry Kane because, again, I critique him as well. I know a lot of people similar to you would love Man United, for example, and I say no, stay far away from him because he gets injured 3 months every season. You can't rely on him in that way. But he has leadership qualities. He's a proven world-class striker, but he hasn't been great this season. And there's obviously I don't know if there's problems around what his situation at Spurs because I don't know if he still wants to leave, but that was definitely a thing. And he's starting to come back into the season now, scoring goals now more consistently. I don't know whether he'll carry it on until the summer. I think or into the World Cup in around Christmas time. I think it all depends on who he's going to be playing for next September. Because if he's going to Man City, he'll be full, like pumping for it. He'll love it because he's playing. He's happy where he is. He's scoring goals. He's playing for Man City, for example, and he's going into a World Cup where England could possibly win it, which you haven't done since 1966, and it's the only time you've done it. So it'd be quite big for someone like him as captain, and he'd be about 29 at that stage, so it'd be his last hurrah almost. If he stays at Spurs, I don't know whether he'd still be linking up with Young Son, whether his son will go. I've never heard about him going, but
I'm not sure. I
you know?
think he will continue. If he, let's just say he does stay at Spurs, I think he will continue linking up with Young Son. Factually now, statistically, Young Son and Harry Kane have the most goal contributions between two players in Premier League history. So they are factually the best duo in Premier League history. Maybe not aesthetically, I would say Rooney and Ronaldo.
Of course.
Yeah, but factually and just statistically, they are the best duo in the Premier League history. So I'm going to back him to sort of continue the form up until the World Cup. I cannot wait for the World Cup, honestly. I'm going to keep mentioning it. But yeah, we'll move on to the West Ham game in a second. This could be his last final if you think about it. I would say second to last, though, maybe the World Cup after the next one, if that makes sense. Freddie says, long time no see. I hope you're well, Freddie. I hope everything's all right. I hope you're still continuing them madness tweets like that you do on Twitter. Drogba, Lampard, clear. I only know, but right, West Ham 1, Wolves 0. Michail Antonio, he's not been on the best form, but he's just assisted Thomas Souček. Now, a player who I think is an absolute bargain for West Ham. Was it 5 million they bought him for?
Yeah.
And one of the most underrated players in the league. Again, I think he's very underrated. Do you think they're favourites to win the Europa League, or do you think they're just going to drop off with both top four in Europa League?
Yeah. With West Ham, I think their only chance of staying in the Europa League is probably winning it. And I know they're obviously well in the race for top 6, but they could easily be pushed into the Conference League, into 7th, if they don't keep up the good form. I don't think they'll win the Europa League, though. I think they'll get to the semis, because I watch a lot of Barcelona. They're my other team, and they are in such good form at the moment. And I think they will definitely win the Europa League, because it's almost a shame for a club like Barcelona to be in the Europa League, but they will win it because it's too good. And I know a lot of people talk about how they're doing financially, and it doesn't really matter because they have such a good team. If West Ham did come up against Barcelona, which sounds like the maddest game, how has that happened? But I don't think West Ham will win the Europa League, and they might get Europa League football off of the final because it will be handed down to them. Thing is, West Ham, I know you're saying about Michail Antonio isn't in the best of form. I see him do an interview with Sky Sports saying that West Ham are a bit stale at the moment, and I completely agree with him, because West Ham seem to do this every season. They have a good few months, and then towards the end of the season they peter off, because everyone finds out about them. And we've discussed Michail Antonio in the past, and he is. I do love Michail Antonio. He's very, he's brilliant. I think if anything happens to Jared Bowen or Souček or Rice, they can forget about Europa League football, and definitely Champions League football. They need to consistently keep going, because Rice isn't crucial, Souček is integral, and Jared Bowen is so important for them because he's scoring goals. And seems like their only goal threat at the moment. So that's definitely the way things are going, in my opinion.
I agree with that. CSM fan is calling for us to speak about Rice. Now, Declan Rice, he is so genuinely like the other day. Yesterday I was sitting there watching the game, and Declan Rice is moving the ball forward, and I was thinking, he's so good. Like, we don't have a player like this. Like, as much as I like McTominay, I like Fred, I like Matic, we do not have a player that can progress the ball forward. He's quite young. He's still a young man, like this. If I know you've said previously you probably wouldn't spend the money on Rice alone, would you like it if we got Rice, or would you sort of be a little bit against that transfer?
With Declan Rice, I've gotten over my bias against him with again, I've already mentioned Grealish with Ireland and all. He is definitely one of the best in his position in the world, in my opinion. He is so good at progressing the ball, like you said. The thing is, the Declan Rice, if United social accounts announced him tomorrow, let's say, it's very unlikely, but let's say that, and Declan Rice, number 15, £80 million, I just go like a deep sigh, and I just go, it's the right signing, but it's just far too much money, and that's how much you'd be
I
looking
think
for
he's
with
worth
Rice.
£80 million.
Right.
Personally, I think he is I just think he's so good. You wouldn't find the exact same player of the exact same quality out there for the same amount of money or less. Obviously, you've got the likes of Frank Kessié. I can't actually name any more off the top of my head, but Frank Kessié on a free. I'm not denying that he's good and he's a quality player. I just think Declan Rice is so key. He's so good that he's worth £80 million in this current market. Obviously, the market should deflate, but it's too much of a big debate to get into. In this market, I would argue he's worth £80 million. Would you agree?
Declan Rice, he's not. I don't think he's worth 80 million. If he declared for Ireland a few years ago, he'd be worth 30 million. I genuinely think it's because he's English. He's hyped up. Not hyped up, sorry. He's more a value attached to him as a player. He is definitely one of the best in his position, 100%. There's no denying that. I just do think he can buy a Orléans Tchouameni from Monaco or Franck Kessié from Milan for well less money. And I don't get me wrong, Declan Rice is 22. He's quite young, and he'd be that hard at that midfield for 10 years, you know.
Definitely,
and I think he would easily slip into that team because he's good friends with Maguire and Shaw. I think I just do prefer, and I trust in Ralph Rangnick if he ended up going into that advisory role, to be involved in the transfers. I do think he would find someone who is 19, 20, has the potential to be better than Declan Rice for 7 million, who plays for RB Salzburg. So, and that's why I do like Ralph Rangnick. And it looks like, I don't think we were going down that way. We focus more around the British players. But realistically, if Declan Rice came in, I definitely wouldn't mind Declan Rice coming in. It's the money that's the problem, you know.
Fair enough. Barca will beat West Ham in the final. Bookmark this. I can't bookmark it. It's YouTube. It's fucking unbelievable. Don't like the Maguire comparison with the price tag, etc. Maguire's turning 27 when he came to us. Rice is only 23 and is already levels above a lot of midfielders. Is Maguire actually 29?
Yeah, he's the same age as Varane.
28, yeah.
He's 28, 29, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Didn't know that. Well, I did. I would have known it, but just forgot about it completely. Pay 60 to 70 mil, not anymore. That is just too much. Fair enough. Kenny says, yo, Kenny, you just tuning in for the end. I will be live again in literally 1 hour's time at 7 p.m. talking about the news surrounding United. Like Niall's show with Kane and Gavin. Leeds are falling apart again. But this is the end of the stream. I do want to say thank you again for coming on, especially it's such short notice. I assume you just literally walked in the door by the time you clicked on the link. So I do apologise for that, and massive thank you for that.
No problem at all. No, I do love this show, and I've been on it. It's my third time on it. I do genuinely enjoy it, and the community as well. It is very good. Thanks for having me on again.
No problem. They all show you a lot of love in most of the streams. As I've told you about quite a few times in DMs. So we'll be sure to get you on again for absolute sure. And remember to tune in, guys, in 1 hour's time for the Red Devils Digest with Gavin and me and Kane. We'll be speaking about all news surrounding United. 1 hour's time. Thank you guys for tuning in.